Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a pretty fascinating legal document here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a judgment from a special judge in Lucknow, dated May 16th, 2025. And it deals specifically with cases under the SCST Act.
Right, the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act.
Exactly. The case title is State versus Lakhon Singh.
Mm.
So our mission today really is to figure out what happened, why it matters, and, what surprising twists this deep dive might reveal.
And our main source, as you said, is this court judgment itself. It's incredibly detailed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lays out the facts, the evidence, the arguments, the judge's reasoning. It's all in there. It's the definitive story as far as the court's concerned.
And the central figure, this Lacan, he's an advocate, right? And also secretary of a housing cooperative.
That's him, and he finds himself, on the wrong side of the law in this instance, accused of filing a false FIR.
A false first information report against a Sunil Dubey and some others.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really interesting, I think. It's not just one potentially false complaint.
Oh.
The judgment points to a whole pattern of alleged misuse of the SCST Act by Lakhon Singh, which suggests, maybe a deeper story about power, disputes, and how the legal system can sometimes be used.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The original FIR filed by Lakhon Singh, what was that about?
So this was back in 2014, case number 362014. Lakhon Singh claimed that Sunil Dubey and others tried to kill him.
Tried to kill him? How?
In a supposed road incident back on October 21st, 2013. And crucially, he also threw in allegations under the SCST Act, claiming caste-based abuse during this incident.
Okay, so attempted murder and casteist slurs. What did he say actually happened on the road?
His story was that he was driving to court, his car gets hit by another vehicle. He even gave the registration number, UP32CZ5153.
Right.
And that the people in that car, including Sunil Dubey, got out, threatened him with a revolver, and used these casteist slurs.
But this FIR wasn't registered straight away.
No, apparently not. Lakhon Singh claimed the police didn't act on his first complaint, so he had to go to court and get an order under Section 156.3 of the Criminal Procedure Code.
Which basically forces the police to register the FIR.
Exactly. But once they did investigate, the story started to unravel.
How so?
The investigation, led by Circle Officer Jirendra Rai, it concluded Lakhon Singh's claims were false.
False? Based on what?
Witness testimony, mainly. The driver of the other car, Ramchandra Tiwari, and the car's owner, Raj Kishore Sahu, they told a completely different story.
Okay, what did they say?
They said it was just a minor traffic incident.
Yeah.
Happened at a place called Mamacharaha.
A fender bender, basically.
Pretty much. They said Lakhon Singh took the driver's license, the car key, demanded money for repairs.
Ah.
And they eventually settled it right there for, I think it was $1,250. A very small amount.
And crucially, they denied any attempted murder? Any threats? Any slurs?
Completely denied it. Said nothing like that happened. Just a minor accident and an argument over repair costs.
Okay, so witness testimony contradicts his story. Anything else?
Yes, and this is quite significant. The mobile phone location records the CDR data for Sunil Dubey.
Right, the man accused of being there and threatening him.
Exactly. His phone records placed him somewhere else entirely in Lucknow, Krishnanagar, specifically at the exact time this alleged incident was supposed to be happening.
So he couldn't have been at Mamacharaha threatening Lakhon Singh if his phone was miles away in Krishnanagar.
Precisely. That's a pretty strong alibi,
Definitely undermines the whole claim. But you mentioned this didn't happen in a vacuum. There's a backstory.
There is, and the judgment goes into it. It seems there's a long-running land dispute.
Often at the heart of these things?
Indeed. Between Lakhon Singh's housing cooperative and Sunil Dubey's family, over some specific plots of land, Khazra numbers 1005 to 1009 in Lucknow.
What was the nature of the dispute?
Well, Sunil Dubey's father had apparently been farming the land, and the family claimed the cooperative got hold of it using fraudulent documents. So bad blood there already.
Okay, so a motive perhaps for filing a false complaint, to put pressure on the opposing side in the land dispute.
That seems to be the implication suggested by the background. And it's not just this one FIR we're talking about.
You mentioned a pattern.
Yes. The judgment actually lists 7 previous FIRs.
7.
7. Filed by Lakhon Singh against Sunil Dubey and his associates between 1990 and 2010. Different police stations, various allegations.
And what happened with those cases?
According to the judgment, every single one resulted in a final report from the police saying the case was unfounded. No basis, in fact.
7 times. That's pretty telling, isn't it?
It certainly paints a picture,
Mm.
yes, a potential pattern of using FIRs, perhaps vexatiously.
And it didn't stop there, apparently. He even tried to go after an investigator.
Yeah, that's another layer. He allegedly tried to file a false case against a previous investigating officer because he wasn't happy with how that officer handled one of the earlier investigations.
Wow. Trying to intimidate the police now.
That's what it looks like. But that attempt was shut down. The court rejected it, and so did the SCST Commission.
Okay, so fast forward back to the 2013 road incident FIR. The investigation finds it false. What happens next, legally, for Lakan Singh?
Well, the tables turn. Based on the investigation's findings, a complaint is filed against Lakan Singh.
Under which laws?
Section 182 of the Indian Penal Code, that's for giving false information to a public servant, intending to cause them to use their power to injure someone else.
Like telling the police a false story to get someone arrested.
Exactly. And also Section 211 IPC for instituting false criminal proceedings with intent to injure.
Okay, so he's now the accused. What about his original case, the one based on the 2013 incident? Did he pursue that?
He initially filed something called a protest petition against the police's final report, which concluded his claims were false.
Right, challenging the police findings.
Yes, and the court decided to treat his protest petition as a formal complaint, which meant he now had the burden to present evidence to support his original claims.
And did he?
Apparently not. The judgment states he failed to present evidence to back up his story.
Okay, and then in the trial against him for filing the false FIR, how did he defend himself?
Well, interestingly, he refused to answer questions under Section 313 of the Criminal Procedure Code.
That's the part where the accused gets to explain their side directly to the judge, respond to the evidence.
That's the one. He refused to participate, citing some petition he'd filed in the High Court that was apparently scheduled for hearing around that time.
Not exactly a robust defense.
No. So you have the investigation saying his story was false, corroborating evidence like the phone records, a history of apparently unfounded FIRs, and then his failure to provide evidence or answer questions in court.
It doesn't look good. So what was the final verdict from the special judge?
Guilty. The judge found him guilty under Section 182, Section 211, and also Section 193 of the IPC.
Section 193. What's that for?
Fabricating false evidence. So not just lying, but actively creating false evidence.
Okay, so guilty on multiple counts. Did the judgment say anything about the misuse of the SCST Act specifically?
It did. It actually quotes a high court order from a different case, Bihari and others versus State of UP, which expressed serious concern about people misusing the SCST Act for personal gain.
So the court was aware of this broader issue.
Very much so. That high court order even directed that action should be taken against people filing false FIRs under the Act. And this judgment also referenced Supreme Court rulings about fair sentencing and, crucially, deterring the abuse of the legal process.
Right. So the sentencing, what did he get?
It was quite severe, reflecting the judge's view on the matter. 6 months simple imprisonment plus a $1,000 fine under Section 182.
Okay.
Then 3 years of rigorous imprisonment and a $50 fine under Section 193 for fabricating evidence.
Rigorous imprisonment.
And the big one, under Section 211 for the false proceedings, was 7 years of rigorous imprisonment and a hefty fine of $200,000.
7 years. Wow. So adding that up.
And crucially, the judge ordered the sentences to run consecutively.
Consecutively, not concurrently.
No, one after the other. So the total adds up to 10 years and 6 months in prison.
10.5 years, plus the fines, which are over $200,000. That's a very significant sentence.
It sends a strong message, doesn't it? About the consequences of, well, what the court found to be a deliberate abuse of the justice system.
Absolutely. Were there any other directions from the court besides the sentence?
Yes, a couple of important ones. First, the court ordered that the Bar Council of Uttar Pradesh, the body that regulates lawyers, be informed about the judgment.
So they're aware an advocate has been convicted of these offenses.
Exactly. And not just this conviction, but also other pending criminal cases against him. The judgment mentions 3 others related to cheating, forgery, and even rape allegations.
Serious charges. And the other direction?
The district magistrate of Lucknow was told to investigate whether Lakan Singh had received any financial compensation under the SCST Act for that original, now deemed false, FIR he filed.
Ah, because sometimes victims under the Act can receive compensation.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if he had received any money based on what the court found to be a false claim, the magistrate was directed to recover it.
Closing all the loopholes, it seems. So, stepping back, what does this all mean for you, the listener?
Well, I think this case really serves as a stark reminder of just how complex the legal system can be.
Yeah.
And it highlights this difficult issue, how laws designed to protect vulnerable groups like the SCST Act can potentially be misused or, as alleged here, weaponized.
Right. It puts the focus squarely on the importance of thorough, unbiased investigation, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it shows there are, or at least can be, very serious consequences for filing false complaints, for abusing the legal process.
It also makes you think about the responsibilities of legal professionals, when an advocate themselves is found guilty of manipulating the system.
It raises serious ethical questions, definitely.
So this whole deep dive into the Lacan Singh case, it uncovers this really tangled web, doesn't it? Land disputes going back years.
A whole string of legal filings.
And these very serious allegations about misusing a protective law.
And the judgment itself, it's a fascinating, if quite concerning, look at how the courts try to deal with these kinds of messy situations.
The sheer number of prior cases, the way the 2013 incident seems to have been, well, fabricated, according to the court, it goes way beyond just a misunderstanding, doesn't it?
It seems that way based on the judgment, yes. And those heavy sentences. They really underscore the court's strong stance against abusing the legal system, especially laws meant to protect the marginalized.
Which leaves us with a big question, really, for you to ponder. How do we ensure that vital legal safeguards, like the SCST Act, are used for their intended purpose protection and aren't exploited for personal fights or gain?
Yeah, what's the role of lawyers, judges, investigators, maybe even lawmakers, in safeguarding the integrity of the whole system, preventing this kind of alleged abuse?
It's a tough balance, isn't it? The line between seeking justice legitimately and potentially weaponizing the system.
It really is.
Yeah.
This case gives you a lot to think about. Maybe, dig a bit deeper into the SCST Act itself, the IPC sections we mentioned.
Yeah, form your own informed view. It's definitely a complex issue with significant real-world impact.